Yo, what are you doing right now? We are going to get real about men's issues, who Jesus is, and who we are as men in Christ. We're going to hear Trey, Jeremy, Michael, and Brad break it down. These guys call themselves the Cussin Christians. All right, guys, what is going on?
No, it is. I mean, have you ever been to Milwaukee?
No.
Yeah, it sucks.
Okay.
Sucks.
My favorite rabbi is in Milwaukee.
Favorite rabbi.
Yeah, he's a fantastic rabbi. Menachem.
Is that a real name?
It is Menachem, yeah. And whenever there's a crisis facing Jews around the world, I get a text or a call from Menachem. He's like, "What do you think about this?" And
Does he know you're a Christian?
oh yeah. I met him during a friend of mine's his daughter's bat mitzvah.
Okay.
And we hit it off because, I speak Sephardic Hebrew, and he was very intrigued by that. And so we were talking about, the Bible, talking about the Middle East, hit it off. And this is crazy because he's a ultra Orthodox rabbi.
Okay.
And in the bat mitzvah, which is a big party, afterwards, he's the only one that's allowed to open the wine because he blesses the wine.
Okay.
And so he and I were sitting, and he forgot that people are waiting in line to get the wine. And he had a bottle of wine, and he's pouring some to me and some for him. We're both drinking. We were talking for 20 minutes, and people are getting agitated. They're like, "Are you guys done?"
What about us?
Can you just pour my drink while you go?
Very good. Does he know that he's your favorite rabbi?
He is my favorite rabbi. And
But does he know that?
He does. He does. Yes.
So what does he say about, I guess, we're getting right into it quickly, but what's he say about the Christian point of view?
Well,
Because knowing you, you've talked about it.
right. He clearly knows that I'm a Christian. He respects that. And I talked to him about my faith in Christ. I think he's intrigued more by the fact that I'm a Middle Eastern Christian.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more openness, and I have a lot of leeway to share with him my experience with Christ. And he's quite intrigued by it because when I talk to him about persecuted Christians in the Middle East, he can relate to that.
Okay.
He's like, well, Israel and the Jews in the Middle East are a minority. They're persecuted. They were driven out of Yemen, out of Morocco, out of all of these countries. So it was almost like he's very sympathetic, to Middle East Christians, and almost like apologetic. Like, I'm so sorry about what your people have had to go through. And then I get a chance to share with him. That's why I believe in Christ.
That's cool.
And that's why he's real to me. And he's very respectful, very open about it.
We had a large contingent of Jewish population in South Bend, still do. I mean, the Lermans are amazing people, loved them, grew up with them. One of my best friends, Danny Lerman, I got to spend Passover with him a few times as a kid because I guess they invite Gentiles for that. I guess that's the thing to do. So our 11, 12-year-old baseball team, we used to go for a camping trip, and he brought kosher hot dogs. So they said kosher on them. We're a bunch of little 9, 10-year-old heathens and didn't know what kosher meant.
It doesn't mean anything to you.
No, but we didn't ask him, so we switched his hot dogs with our hot dogs.
Of course you did.
Yes, we did. I did. So we're sitting around the fire, and he grabs his hot dog, and we're all watching him, and he's cooking his hot dog, and we're cooking his kosher hot dogs. And so he puts it in the bun, puts it on, and we all stop. There was like 12, 13 of us. We all stop because I told everybody, I said, I'm switching Danny's hot dogs. So he takes a bite, and we're like,
What's going to happen?
nothing happened.
You didn't burst into flames?
Well, my question to you, did he like it?
Oh, he loved it.
See?
And so, great story. We stayed friends all throughout life. And he's now a world jazz musician. He plays saxophone all around the world. So Michelle and I went to this jazz fest, and he was the highlight talent. And so this was back when we had CDs. And I just went up and I said, Dan, I want one of your CDs. And so he signed it on the inside on the cover, and it said, Michael, I didn't turn into a demon when I ate the hot dog. So all these years he remembered that. I was
Nice.
like, oh, dude, that's hilarious.
Well,
but
what do they traditionally believe will happen if they eat something that's not kosher?
I don't know.
It's not clean.
Okay.
It's they'll have like a kosher kitchen in the Jewish house.
Yeah.
I think asking for forgiveness would be the proper thing, and
Okay.
you know, I know in Islam they would have to pray and ask for forgiveness, because I accidentally fed two jihadists a meat lover's pizza in Iraq. We're in
That's
Baghdad.
awesome.
That was a complete mistake.
You got pork on it?
It had every form of pork. It had ham. It had pepperoni. It had bacon,
Sausage.
Everything.
and
Did you do that on purpose?
no, I was meeting with these
don't
two
believe that.
jihadists. They were sources for the CIA, and I was distracted talking to our office support team about logistics of that meeting. Well, they dug in to lunch. They started eating the pizza, and our office assistant had brought meat lovers pizza, and they scarfed that thing. I mean, they ate it, and they're like, "This is the best pizza we've ever had."
Of course.
And I'm looking, I'm horrified, and they're like, "This is halal, right?" Meaning like pork. I'm like,
No, it's goodbye.
What do you, I mean? I could destroy rapport. I mean, we completely lose these two sources. And of course, I said, "Did you like it?" They're like, "Yes, it is the best we've ever had." I'm like, "It is definitely halal."
Hello.
Man, you just blew my story up. I was going to tell a story about being in Vegas with all the Indians, and they started eating the soup and the veggie and the rolls, and they found out it was all meat, and they're all vegetarian. And you're talking about jihadists, so screw mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward. Michelle goes to work for one of the companies that the Lermans own. And Mark, Danny's little brother, who we used to beat up all the time, because we'd get snow, 30 inches of snow. So I'd go over to Dan's house and we'd build snow forts. And
Forget that.
Mark would be in the snow fort and we'd cave it in on him, and he'd cry and run to the house. He was just a little whatever. So we picked on him all the time. We always made him cry. Danny was worse. So fast forward, he's celebrating his 50th birthday. And he's got this 10,000 square foot house, gorgeous house. Danny's playing, his band's playing. I mean, it's top notch catering, everything. So this lady's going around and she's videotaping all of us. And she comes up to me and I said, "Yeah, Mark was a whiny little bitch."
Nice.
And I said he cried all the time, blah, blah, blah. This is the CEO of a multinational corporation. Michelle's horrified because she works for this. So anyway, they end up playing it on the TV, but he's not around. He comes down. I'm sitting in the chair. All of Michelle's bosses are all around, and he comes walking down the steps, and he looks at me and he goes,
Nice.
and he starts shaking his head. And I went, "Hey, you still a whiny little bitch." And all these executives that are working for this company are standing behind, like, "Who is this guy?" "Well, this is Michelle's husband." They didn't realize that we went way back and had a history. Oh, it was
funny.
the funniest thing. And then they played that video later on where I said the same thing. Then his mother was there. She hugged me and kissed me. She was probably in her 70s by then, 80s. But it was hilarious.
That's a perfect lead into the Cussin Christians.
Yes.
If you're listening to us or watching us, it's just four guys eating wings, talking about Jesus. Kind of more of a Friday night conversation than a Sunday morning conversation that you would have in the foyer. But Joseph Assad is joining us today. Thanks for sitting in, Joseph. Trey is overseas. He's getting some rest and relaxation, rubbing some feet
Again.
and so we hope Trey's doing good with that. But Joseph, ex-C.I.A. operative, spent many years overseas. He knows more than he can tell us. So it's always good to have you on, brother. And with everything that's been going on social media, people are able to put out disinformation, misinformation, conspiracies, all this kind of stuff. And we see it all the time. So we thought it'd be interesting today to talk about some conspiracy theories, why people believe them. As Christians, what should we buy into it?
Well, they're out with Charlie Kirk that his lapel mic is what blew up on his chest and sent the bullet through his neck. I'm like, I can't even watch the stupidity anymore or all the garbage that comes out about that. You went through 9/11, all that, the garbage that's still coming out about that. And I'm like, you know what does that have to do at the end of the day as far as when we're believers? Do we really give a crap whether that's their narrative or not? I mean, have you had to debunk a lot since you've been going through all this?
Quite a few conspiracies that we had to debunk because people think that the CIA does more than. There's never been an organization in government like the CIA where has been accused or having certain actions attributed to us. So very familiar. This happens all the time. We hear it all the time about, all the way from the Kennedy assassination to 9/11. And like you mentioned, even today with Charlie Kirk and other things that are going on. So in the age of social media, I mean, things, are, spread like wildfire when somebody suggests something. And I guess I'll start with a little anecdote that happened when I was a CIA officer serving overseas, and it demonstrated how conspiracies could spread and how you take a morsel of truth, something that is real, and how you can twist it. And that happened, and I think I'm allowed to say this. We were doing training for Saudi intelligence. And some of the CIA officers went to attend the first day, and there was the chief of the intel service making the introduction to his officers, saying, we have people coming all the way from Washington to train you on, information operations campaign and how disinformation and how it spreads like wildfire. And he started with a story. He said, but I first have to point out that the Americans don't always tell us the truth. And everybody gasped in the room, and this is in front of us. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, the moon landing. He said, that never happened. And now the Saudis and the students, they're shaking their heads like, yeah, we had our doubts too. He took something that's real, right? The moon landing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, let me explain to you why the Americans never landed. He said, do you remember the picture of Armstrong and back when they put the moon landing photos with the American flag? Everybody in the room's like, yeah. So now I put an image in your head. It's like, yes, we remember the American flag. He's like, do you remember how the American flag was waving in the wind? And they're like, yeah. He goes, there is no wind on the moon. Therefore, that picture is fake, and the Americans never landed. And they're like, man,
how
we
does
knew
he know
it.
There's no wind on the moon?
And then he's like, I just put that image in your head.
Right.
That picture does not exist. There is no picture with the flag, waving in the wind, or there is no footage of that. He told them about a video also, and they're like, yeah, we remember watching this. Mm-hmm. So the power of suggestion, and he goes, and that's why we're here, to learn about information operations, because I just now, all of you, I got you to agree with me on something that didn't happen. I planted those seeds in your head and about those images, and now you're agreeing with me that there was no moon landing.
It's gaslighting.
Exactly.
Which happens all the time.
So exactly. So that's what I think is very powerful about information. People misuse that. People take a morsel of truth, and then they try to twist it. Now, it is much easier to debunk something that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. That's why there's a lot of skepticism on aliens or some other events that have like, okay, well, that didn't happen.
Okay, but let's go back to aliens. All right, they always show up in BFE, Arkansas, in a trailer park with somebody that's got two teeth in their head, and they saw an alien. Have you guys ever seen an alien? It doesn't happen in Brevard County.
So you say that, but one of the owners of a company I worked for, him and his brother swear they had an alien experience, and I don't even want to try to recapture the story because it is so out there. But they're in New York, in Long Island, New York, and they got abducted by an alien.
All right, so I think
supposedly
I think there's aliens, but I think they're demons. That's just my opinion. I think that what a better way when all of us leave this earth.
Which, by the way, we made it through last week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
the
right.
rapture was
So
supposed to
either-
happen.
Did we?
Or we're mid-trib.
Or left behind.
Or left behind.
Well,
Trey's not here.
Very few
well,
got
if
taken.
anybody
Yeah.
went up, it would have been Trey. So,
I know.
I mean, we've heard from him, so because he can't keep his phone away.
Well, Joseph
He's addicted.
would've- Yeah, I know. But
Right.
it goes back to what Joseph said. You take a little bit of truth and then you manipulate it to do whatever you want to do with it.
Well, especially on social media. I mean, he hit it on the head, right? Because like you get all these people that just want follows and likes, and listen, I'm not judging anybody. I'm sure a lot of them are all trying to actually spread the proper thing, but there's a lot of people that don't care, right? Like they're just doing it because it's a good topic to start a lot of crap with. And we saw a lot of this with the Charlie Kirk stuff.
Yes.
Glad he's dead and all this stuff. If he was a Christian, like God would have saved him, whatever, right? But like they can grab a piece of Old Testament scripture that has nothing to do with what we believe today, and they'll twist it into something completely wrong. Or even they'll grab a piece of what Jesus said, and they're like, well, Jesus sinned because he called them vipers or whatever. No, Jesus didn't sin, right? I mean, like you got to read the whole thing to understand it.
You bring a great point because Christians are guilty of this as well. Is the clickbait?
Right.
We think like, oh, if we say something shocking or something that would grab people, would come because I have a truthful message at the end of the day. But we have to be very, very careful. We have to be agents of truth. We cannot fall into that trap of just to get more people to use deception. Christ never used deception. He spoke the truth. And we as ambassadors of Christ have got to be the same way. We have to, fight the temptation and using, falsehood to think that, we are ultimately achieving the goals of the kingdom. I get it. It's frustrating because why is it that one guy talking about Charlie Kirk, is getting, 1 million views when I have something meaningful and I can't get beyond, 97.
Trust me, we get it here. I mean, by the way, early on in the show, if you guys could click the like, share, and follow button, we can maybe reach more than whatever we're reaching.
900,000, whatever.
I agree.
Yeah. So I read something online. It says a new study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. That's a journal.
I read that every week.
Bet you do. It's found that ostracism increases superstition and belief in conspiracies. And it's not because the isolation is making them insane. It's really just a search for more meaning in life. I always wondered, like, what's the motivation of somebody trying to start a rumor or a conspiracy? Is it just for attention, or is it because they're lonely and they think that they know something that everybody else doesn't believe? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm smarter than you because I didn't fall for that.
I think it's the latter, and I'll give you a good example. We have a friend that I've been taking care of, and he went up to Joseph after a breakfast or something, and what did he ask you? Something about, hey, do you know who Tom DeVos, do you remember the name?
Yeah. I don't remember the exact name.
But anyway, asked him who this guy was, and Joseph's like, I don't know. He goes, well, that's Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, he was one of your CIA operatives, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah, he says, Tom Cavanaugh. Do you know who Tom Cavanaugh?
That's it.
I said, no. He's like, come on, you know the name. I'm like, I really don't. He's like, that was bin Laden's name. He really was a CIA operative, and you should know this. So this is somebody in church.
And my point is, he isolates himself, and I've been encouraging him to. I got him a bike, and I'm like, get away from the laptop, get out in the sun, go, volunteer at church, ride your bike, man, get the heck out of here. But he sits and he feeds on that garbage all day long, and then it eventually, what is it, the saying that if you
garbage in, garbage out.
Not only that, but if you perpetuate a lie so many times, it ends up, you think it's...
Oh, yeah. You
believe your own lies.
That's a reprobate mind.
Yeah, but Brad, you hit it, the nail in the head about all of these reasons, the psychological reasons, and people wanting attention. But there's something else that's sinister. And of course, I would be remiss not to bring it up because we saw that all the time and we continue to see it in the government. In addition to all of these reasons why people spread disinformation, there are governments that are behind some of these rumors.
That makes sense.
And they're spreading like wildfire in social media. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea have declared a war on Americans and on our youth and their hearts and minds. And so they are exploiting that. When people used to ask me, why should I worry that China, or when you're telling me about China or Russia collecting data? I've got nothing to hide. That's what people used to say. I'm like, it's a lot more than that. They collect all of your information about your electric bill, your habits, your phone, your shopping, your how you vote, and then they tailor certain messages and they push those messages to you, and they've been very successful at turning a lot of college, kids against the government. I mean, how do you?
Well, they're not going to beat us in a war.
Right, exactly.
So you got to go from within, right?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
How do you get LGBTQ community to be pro-Palestine when the Palestinians would actually slaughter them if they show up in Gaza? But that's the power of disinformation. That's a great example of that. All the free Palestine stuff, you get all of this Antifa, LGBTQ, and anti-Semites to go out there. That is, I guarantee you, it's manipulated by our enemies.
Yeah, we always tell our kids we always tell our kids to consider the source, like trace back, where did this come from? What's the motivation behind this? And I think young people are especially susceptible to this because they don't have life experience. They haven't lived long enough to see, oh yeah, there were a bunch of conspiracy theories that were debunked, and the longer you live, the more you see patterns, and you see, this is a bunch of crap. But the young people are still like, oh, there's more to it than this. And so some of my kids, they're like, every time something happens, that to me, it's pretty overt what happened. They're like, oh, but I heard about this, and I heard about this, and there was this group. And I'm like, come on, man.
Also, we tend to also attribute something more sinister if it's something sensational or not sensational, if it's something that's massive or big.
Yeah.
And we would attribute, we'd use words like, I can't believe this, or I can't believe that. We heard about the Israeli military and intelligence, how they are the best of the best. And a lot of people have asked me, how is it possible that they would not know about October 7th?
That's a good point.
And by the way, we're in Yom Kippur now, celebrating the second year of that horrible attack. So because we can't fathom something, our brain tends to go to where, oh, there's got to be something else. Because we rationalize it. We try to rationalize this, and then we start spreading it. And then I say to say, yeah, do you think that the Mossad wouldn't have seen that coming? And you're like, yeah, as a matter of fact, you're right. They are the best of the best. How come they did not see this? And 9/11, same thing. I heard this over and over again, that it is not possible for the CIA, for the FBI, not to know that 9/11, was about to take place. And there was just a great event in D.C. that I was invited to this last week, where they showed an upcoming series on the USS Cole. And a lot of the FBI guys that were there retired. They were part of the 9/11, generation who investigated. They investigated the USS Cole, and the topic of discussion was our good friend John O'Neill, who was an FBI special agent. He went to investigate the USS Cole in Yemen.
That was during the Clinton administration, right? The bomb on the side.
Yes, yeah. and then he was kicked out of there because our ambassador Barbara Bodine, she said, "Oh, you're offending the Yemenis." John stood and was the only one in the United States government, in our security service, who said, Al-Qaeda is going to hit us using airplanes. Like, what are you talking about? Again, something that's not rational. It did not make sense. We dismissed it even within the government. So what are you talking about? He said, well, Osama bin Laden, there is a speech that he made. He said, we will strike you by land, by air, and by sea. But nobody could fathom, what do you mean by air? What do you mean using airplanes?
He didn't have it.
It's not something that we were used to. If you tell me like a car bomb, like, yep, remember Beirut?
Yep.
Truck bomb, yep. IED, somebody with AK-47s. But with an airplane attack is how? So he got frustrated. Ambassador Bodine pursued him, saying that this guy is out of control. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They forced him back to the New York field office of the FBI. And a few months later, he got frustrated because they kept marginalizing him and shutting down his rhetoric about this whole airplane thing. That caused him to quit. And John O'Neill took a position in the private sector on September 10th as chief of security for the World Trade Center. Next day, we know what happened, 9/11. And he ended up, he was outside, but he rushed into the building trying to save as many people as he could, and he died that day.
Wow.
But again, couldn't you see how a conspiracy could be born out of that? Somebody could say, why did they want to silence him? Maybe they knew something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything comes out of something. You can manipulate any piece of information, and it's going to get worse with
especially
AI.
from a secret organization, right? Like
Right.
the CIA can't come out and say, "Hey, this is what all we knew," because it'll give up everything else, right? Like
Right.
they have to
Great
just kind of
point.
sit there and
Yeah.
take it, right? Like it's not a. I mean, if you're a secret organization of any kind, right? I mean, look at the Freemasons. Like, I mean, I'm a Freemason. Like, I went through the whole thing. I can tell you there's no demonology in there. Not that I've seen, at least not, yeah, right, get out of here. But, I mean, the thing, you see what I'm saying? But they're a secret organization, so people think that they're out there planning the end of the world, right?
Absolutely.
And
The Illuminati.
yeah.
So let's go to the
I
scripture.
can't say I am a Freemason. I used to be part of the Freemasons.
Gotcha. So let's go to the scripture that says, even the elect will be deceived. So I need to delve into that a lot more because I haven't. And now that we're living in a crazy time, how are the elect going to be deceived? With what? I was just listening to an ex-Satanist church person who is now a believer, and he talks about that all of the denominations and all of the difference in how we interpret the Bible, everything is just a mess. But there's one religion that he says is going to be the religion that's going to be recognized in the last days, and that's Islam, because they're all on the same page. There's no differentiation between this particular Islam, this particular, and I was listening to that, really fascinated, going, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because we talked one episode that there's 4 Baptist churches before you get to the one you're going to. So how is it going to,
But why would Satan not split the Islamic Church up more? I mean, you have the extremists and you have the non-extremists.
'Cause it's his.
That's pretty much it, right? But why exactly? That's my point, right? Like when something stays that calm, he's not getting involved for a reason.
Right.
Like he wants us to argue over, should we tithe or not tithe?
Right.
You know what I mean? It causes disruption in our lives. Whereas if he has one message, which is, kill everybody that's not us, he's pretty good with that one.
Yeah.
I'll go back to a very basic concept that the Bible teaches us, and every Christian has heard this, but we need to apply it more than ever in the age of conspiracies and in the age of deception, even the elect, which is discernment.
Very good.
God says he's given you the spirit of discernment. Use it.
Yeah.
Use it. God says test the spirits. And so we have to question things. So intellectually, you're absolutely right. We question the source. So wait, where did that come from? Where did that conspiracy theory come from? Is it logical? Who said that? Am I reading it from a credible source or some TikTok? Spiritually, more than ever again, discernment. Because what's going on in our world today is so unusual. It sounds like a conspiracy theorist myself. But it is. More than ever. We need discernment. Because what is happening, guys, it's not just for clicks or social media. There is a fight for the soul, for the heart of our people, our families, our young people, and our own country. And it is, you're seeing it. It is a fight between good and evil.
Did you see recently Starmer from Great Britain telling everybody they got to get a digital ID or they're not working? Have you seen that video?
I did see that, yeah.
Looks real to me.
Yeah.
And Whole Foods has got...
And you have to speak the English language. That's what he said. You have to speak English and you have to get a digital ID.
Interesting.
So Whole Foods has got now, I think it's in Canada, not in the States that I know of, because we got a Whole Foods coming in around the corner. It's like, no, you're not. You can scan your hand.
Yeah, I mean, listen, facial ID and things like that, like that's just getting better and better. I mean, when I go through the airport, a lot of times, like I don't even get an ID out. I just go straight through because of facial identification. Like it is what it is. And if you think they're not saving your photo, you're wrong. I mean,
they're definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it says it's disappearing. No, sorry,
I can say with great degree of certainty
I mean, like
that the U.S. government does have Jeremy's picture.
Well, I already know you ran my background check, all right? Like you don't have to tell me. I just assumed that Michelle's already checked into who you're hanging out with. But I mean, like, who cares? I don't care about that. I mean, it does make me wonder, though. Big conspiracy theory is like, what will the mark of the beast be, right? And at what point? But the good news is that, assuming the book that's been right about everything else is still right about the very last chapter, you'll know what it is. So you're not going to accidentally take the mark of the beast by scanning your hand at Whole Foods.
Because isn't AI going to be able to? I mean, it's so good right now that you can see little glitches here and there, but when somebody's talking, it's like, and then you realize that was all. Well, there's an AI actress that they're trying to sign in Hollywood. They're going to eliminate.
Well, that was what the whole SAG thing was about. You know that, right? Was they saw AI coming, so they went to it and they were like, "Hey, you could eliminate all of the Hollywood actresses and actors." So that's why they struck, was to make sure that doesn't happen. This could be a really big deal because of world leaders, because you could make world leaders look like they're giving messages that they're not giving.
Yep.
And we see it on the comic side, like especially like when you have like the Trump and Biden AI where they're like having ice cream together and stuff. Yeah. Like that's hilarious. But the serious side of that is all of a sudden, like, not just us, but our enemies, right? Like you could have Al Qaeda or whoever overseas making up images of Trump saying death to Islam. Mm-hmm. And he's not saying that. He never said it. But because they control the information they get in these countries, and that's what's even scarier, is countries that control the information that comes into the country more than ours. Mm-hmm. Like when I was in India and some of the other places, like I go to like look things up, and because I'm on their internet, you can't get to it. So they actually censor it out. You can't get the information out of the United States. So I would have to take VPNs and other things with me to get back into the U.S. to where I could get the information I needed.
Afghanistan just shut the internet down.
Right.
That's my point, right? So you have a country like Afghanistan that's controlled by an Islamic state that doesn't really like America. And all of a sudden they start shutting down information. It's no different than Nazi Germany when they're dropping pamphlets in and letting people read it. It's just
so many dictatorships are doing this. And we saw it during the Arab Spring when the people are rising up against their governments. The first thing they did was shut down the internet. Yeah. Shut down Facebook, WhatsApp. We saw it even in a European country in more recent years, in the country of Montenegro, where in the middle of the elections, the government that's been there for 31 years saw that the exit polls are showing that they're about to lose. They shut down all internet, all social media, and claimed that the opposition was planning a coup. So that's the danger of these governments and how they use information. Mm-hmm. And this is no different than how they can use it here. And it's not just about shutting it down. It's I like what you said about earlier. It's like hijacking some of these platforms, like Al Qaeda. What if they start spreading disinformation or images of Trump? We're not just talking about a group of thugs that are cave dwelling in Afghanistan or in Yemen. We're talking also about Iran, China, Russia. These are very sophisticated state actors that can do this at a massive level, at a really higher level, that they could show you it's real CNN. It could show you the White House Twitter feed.
So let's take a funnel and bring it all down to the thing that Jesus said, and that is believe in love, okay? Believe in who I am and who I said I am and what I'm going to, and love. Those are the two things. So if we can funnel that down and forget about all the other garbage, and if Christ comes back, we're gonna hear the trumpet and we're gonna go. And however they want to spin it on the other side, alien invasion,
Although there is a conspiracy theorist right now about aliens. You guys have seen the trials that went on in D.C.
No.
That when they had the senators up there like testifying against the UFOs that they didn't know what they were and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
they might be real, Michael, and they're in Area 51 right now.
I think they're demons. I really do. What a better way to?
They're not demons.
I think both of you might be right.
Yeah.
What about Bigfoot? Is he a demon?
Hey, I sent you that.
I know. Yeah, well, that's clearly AI.
That's your family.
Tuttle, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
There was a Bigfoot spotted over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a dear person in my life that really did a deep dive on Bigfoot, and I have to tell her, Bigfoot is real.
Bigfoot was debunked back in the 70s when $6 Million Man, when Steve Austin was fighting, when he ripped his arm off. It was a robot.
What I don't understand about Bigfoot is all these hunters that have seen Bigfoot with high caliber rifles. Like, if I saw Bigfoot and I'm hunting, I used to hunt a lot, I'm shooting Bigfoot.
That would be the ultimate prize.
Well, it'd be the ultimate prize, but then
is there a license you can get for Bigfoot?
Well, I mean,
I'm going to start selling.
It would be what is it called? It's not unregistered,
classified or
no. There's a whole in the DNR and in their website, like for species that aren't listed as like like there's bag limits, it would be under that.
Okay.
Maybe no man can kill Bigfoot, because if you look at the book of Job, it talks about a mammoth, and it describes that beast, and it does say that no man can kill this beast. Only God can.
So are you joking with me when you say there's a Bigfoot, or are you telling me the truth? Because I have no idea now.
Dude, there would have to be a family of them, though.
My personal view, or the CIA's files on Bigfoot?
I don't, yours.
Well, Daddy Bigfoot would be our age now, wouldn't he, or older? Wasn't he found?
I don't know. I mean, they only show one, but I'm like, there has to be a family of big feet out there. He has to have a sister, and they would pick her up on a trail cam.
Well, there was some woman that apparently the Bigfoot came into her backyard every day, and yeah, he seems
so as Christians, what do we? How, our response to conspiracies is shut it down. Tell them to consider the source. I mean, I feel like my father-in-law has a saying that worrying is like rocking in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but you don't really get anywhere.
No, that's
conspiracies.
I think conspiracies are fun. Like I don't have, I have no issue with it, right? But if I look at it through entertainment's lenses, right? Like even when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I said to you, I guarantee this was X, Y, and Z. Like that shot was this. Now, it still could be. I mean, because it was pretty laid out to make sure that guy got caught.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that you could spin a whole conspiracy theory out of that. I don't know. I don't want to do that today, but
yeah, I mean, I just saw this morning there was an attorney in Utah basically telling the prosecution on Charlie Kirk's killer to be careful because their timeline has some holes.
Yeah, see, he's spinning it already.
Right. He's like there's some holes about the assailant coming back to the scene of the crime, and he apparently had an interaction with law enforcement. He was going back to get his rifle, but that particular timeline did not match with something else, and that's how conspiracy theories could actually get feet. But the Christian response, I mean, I think I'll challenge my brother here. Who says, we just have to be ready and pray, but my question is, do we have a responsibility to debunk those conspiracies? Do we speak the truth? And how do we do that in a way that is not offensive, but also if we're seeing a wave of things, especially if it's perpetrating something that is evil?
Right.
I'm not talking about every conspiracy theory that we need to be out there debunking, but things that are right now that are spreading about disproving God or Christ is not this. Do we have a responsibility to also speak the truth and debunk those conspiracy theories?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think knowledge of the word is so important, to spend time in the word, to have the knowledge of the word and be able to speak it when it's inspired by the Holy Spirit at particular times. And I truly believe that as we go further into this life that we call it, we're going to have that Holy Spirit be able to just tell us when and where, and we're going to have that discernment. I truly believe that. I feel in my heart that I'm going to have the discernment to be able to tell what truth is.
Yeah. I was looking at Titus 3:9, but avoid foolish controversies and genealogies and strife and disputes about the law, for they are unprofitable and worthless. So avoiding foolish controversies, it's unprofitable and worthless. I mean, at the end of the day.
I'm not saying Titus is wrong, but if you hear it, I mean, again, I'm not going to argue with Paul because Paul obviously is Paul. But if I'm sitting there and you're saying something that's not true,
right?
I do think there's a responsibility to be like, hey, no, that's not what it says. Read the next verse.
But at the same time, I feel like we shouldn't be baited. That we shouldn't be baited into every controversy, everything that comes up. Because sometimes I hear these and I'm like, I'm not obligated to go research every single thing that comes up. But like you said, there are times where it's like I gotta shut this down.
Right. It's the things that matter, the things that are fundamental and that are important to our faith. Sure, you don't go and argue everything about every alien thing.
Right.
But I go back to what Michael said about studying and getting to know our faith, being so deep in it, so we are able to then respond.
Yeah.
And respond intelligently.
Well, it's key, right? Because, and this is where I actually lack on this a lot, and I've had some time, I should have spent more time reading, but that's one thing. And we keep talking about Charlie Kirk. It's not just Charlie Kirk. He's just such a good example. But when you're having that response, being able to say, hey, I know exactly where you're looking, and I know exactly what that meant. So now here's where you need to look because it fills in the blank.
Yes.
Like that's the important piece. But if you're trying to argue a point, but you don't have a reference point to go to, that's a really hard thing.
And, I've talked about order so many times, and the order of things, and seek first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. People have made this their religion, this conspiracy, the amount of stuff that they inhale daily from whatever site. Because you can go to any site right now and find exactly what you need to further your narrative as far as all this is BS. So are you in order? It's become your religion. You have taken over this, whether it's your Greta Thunberg or whatever. She's got this new thing. It used to be the weather. Now she's driving around in a flotilla.
She just got arrested yesterday.
I know, and it didn't have any food on it.
Exactly.
She's taking.
Flotilla?
Huh?
It's an aid ship that's going to Gaza ostensibly to break the blockade on Gaza and feed the children of Gaza.
And there was no food on it.
No, there's no food.
You thought it was an appetizer at El Toucan or something?
I don't know. I never heard of it. I was like, what is this thing? Like, I mean, you could have just said a boat.
That's a great name for one.
Yeah, right.
The flotilla. Anyway, so my point is that it's become a religion for people.
Right.
They don't seek first the kingdom of God. They're seeking, weather or, aliens or the fact that Tom Cavanaugh, it's like, come on, guys, let's get back to the truth of the word. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So let's concentrate on him.
Right.
What scares me a lot is that just as much information as we have access to, and this is where the First Amendment's that's why it's first, right? Like we need the First Amendment there because it allows us to speak and talk and share information and keeps you from being censored, right? But what we've gotten away from though is now there's a way to put information out there that's not true. So when you're reading it, you have to make sure you're not going to some like weird site or something like that. You got to go somewhere credible. And now it's even scarier because what used to be credible, which would have been the New York Times, it would have been these great Fox News. I watch Fox because I tend to lean that way. But I got to tell you, they tell me more of my side of the story than the other side. So every once in a while, you need to flip CNN on and go see the other side of it, right? So you get the whole picture of what you're looking at. And unfortunately, everything's starting to get these biases, and it's not a whole truth anymore. Yeah. So like, you really got to do if it's not just go to one website or Google it or use your AI and say, hey, what happened here? Because like if I'm on the AI, I use Copilot the most, but ChatGPT will give me a different answer.
Oh yeah.
People
used to ask me about that all the time about which news is a credible news, and where do you get your information from? And I got to tell you, one of the greatest things about serving in the CIA was we never read the news because you had a front seat access to the unvarnished truth, as we would call it, which was like what was really happening, what was the real intel. When the president of Iran says something, is this really is that real? Do you believe that? And so it's fascinating being on both sides. And you are spot on about how to deal with this, because for us, we did not have to worry about that, because our job was to find the truth, get it to our policymakers, and enable them to make policy decisions. But for the average person, yes, do read Fox and CNN and the Free Press, which is unbiased too. I love the Free Press. Barry Weiss, she used to be with the New York Times, and then they ended up driving her out of there. She's got a most incredible platform that's growing like wildfire. I think Paramount is about to buy them. And
well, it's because people want actual truth. To me, I watch Fox News because it's kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Gutfield's hilarious. Like, I love the guy. But, like, it is hilarious on my side of the coin. But I want the whole truth, though.
Yes.
Like, I don't just want the clip of the saying, hey, this is why Trump's good. Well, he's not all good, by the way. He makes mistakes. Like, he just happens to have more views in my direction than the other team. That's why I voted for who I voted for. It had nothing to do with that. I like Trump, but a lot of people, they get on this MAGA wagon or they get on the woke wagon, and it's all about, but they're not looking at the other side of the coin and how damaging maybe what they're doing is.
Exactly. And to go down that rabbit hole a little bit more, I read a lot of my news in Arabic. And I love doing that. I read every day. I'm a voracious reader of Arabic news. I go to every country and see what is really going on. And you'll find it fascinating what is said in Arabic by the same leader of a country is different than what they say to us in English.
Really?
And I always like to compare them. Like, whoa, hold on, that's not that is for our consumption here. They're telling us this, but what is being said in Arabic. So that's why I do it, so I can get a fuller understanding, and then having that experience and having, figured out where the truth is, you can start to interpret things. Say, okay, if they're saying this, this is what's really going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point you're bringing up too, because one thing that I'll do as I'm reading the Bible is I tend to read. I like the easy to read Bible. I'm not. It's so plain, and it's just out there. Especially when I first started when I started coming back to Christianity, I went to the easy to read Bible. Then I went to the Amplified Bible, but because you have the Bible app, which by the way you should download if you don't have it. You can go through the translations.
Yes.
And see the difference in what the words are.
Absolutely.
And then every once in a while, look up the Jewish word and what it actually meant. Like fear, for example, is there's several words in the Jewish language for fear, and they all mean something different.
Yeah. I'll give you another example recently. So, it's called Trump's peace plan for Gaza.
Okay.
And
I read that.
after the UN, General Assembly, Trump had a sidebar with a group of Muslim and Arab leaders from all of these countries, and they agreed to it. They said, actually, this is a pretty decent plan. And we pressured Israel to accept it. And then now we're waiting on Hamas. Actually, they have the deadline of today to whether they accept the plan or not. One of the main people that endorsed Trump's plan was Qatar. And the Emir of Qatar was sitting in New York with President Trump. And they said, yes, absolutely, they agree to this. Well, I just read a scathing, report in Arabic yesterday of how Qatar is basically chipping away at this plan, and they're telling the Palestinians not to accept it.
Is that true?
So yes, so they're telling us this, and no, this was in their main newspaper.
Okay.
This was in Al Jazeera, which is a state-run, media.
Yep.
So they sit with us in New York and say, yes, we agree with Trump's plan. Meanwhile, we're going to, for the public consumption of the Palestinians and in the Arab world, we're going to tell them not to accept it, that this is flawed.
Well, to wrap this up, I wanted to read Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And, to your point, if somebody brings up something, you can shut it down, or that, it's not true. The chemicals in the water are making the frogs gay or whatever.
Did he
I'm like
say
a
that?
gay frog.
Yeah, it's an old Alex Jones big conspiracy thing that he was yelling about. And so, yeah, it's like we're not obligated to, to go down every rabbit hole and research everything. Sometimes I get on social media and within the first 5 posts, if it's just all vitriol, I want to go to the Word.
Right.
I want to think about things that are lovely and admirable and of good report. I don't want to keep going down that road. And so sometimes I think we have to go back to the Word and just fill ourselves with truth, but know when to speak up or when to just move on.
And why does it all, in the scheme of things, the only thing that matters is none should perish.
Yeah.
None should perish, and that we should have a relationship with Jesus Christ. So let's funnel it back down to, instead of all this other garbage, all this thing that is taking away from your relationship with Christ, let's funnel it down to the two things.
Right. And that's what the enemy always does, is tries to distract. Look over here, here's this conspiracy, here's that conspiracy.
I know.
So that's a good word, man. But anyway, well, thanks for joining us here in a couple weeks. October 24th, 25th, we've got the men's conference coming up with Granger Smith. So you can go on impactministries.org and look for tickets and information about that. Joseph, thanks for joining us again.
Always great having you.
Always bring insight, and you can read Arabic, so that's always a useful skill to have on the podcast. But anyway,
it is Trey's favorite language, so
he's learning a little bit,
exactly.
here and there. All right, well, till next time. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Don't forget to like, follow, and share.
Like, follow, and share.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, I'm Brad.
I'm Michael.
You're
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are the
Cussin Christians. We need to, we talk about reading the Word a lot. One thing we haven't talked to, I don't think we've ever had a podcast on, is how to actually dive into the Word.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because we say, hey, go to the Word.
Right.
And you hear it all the time. But
Which
word are you starting with?
When somebody's newly saved, where do you tell them to start?
So it's funny, I had this conversation with Hunter the other day because he just opened the Bible up.